Hello and welcome to Backstage with NatPhil. I'm Rebecca Smithorn, cover conductor with National Philharmonic. And today I'm talking to composer Henry Dehlinger, whose work will be featured on National Philharmonic's upcoming streamed concert. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So, Henry, when did you first fall in love with composing?
Well, I would say it was fairly recent, and I think to be a little bit more specific, it was vocal and choral works that I fell in love with, and there were really three factors I think that came together into the perfect storm that caused me to become essentially a full-time composer. And the first was my love of singing and my love of singers especially. While my primary instrument is the piano, and I've been a pianist for my entire life, when I was a child, I sang with the San Francisco Boys Chorus, where I acquired an appreciation for the voice. I sang with the opera. I went on tour, so I really was a professional singer as a kid. And as a grown-up, I started to accompany singers, of course. And two singers in particular that I collaborated very closely with are soprano Danielle Talamantes and her husband, bass baritone Kerry Wilkerson. And the collaboration became so close that Danielle and I started working on albums together. So we released one album of Spanish songs. That was in 2014. A second album that we released was more of a jazz crossover album of Duke Ellington songs, which I arranged 6 of those works. And I arranged them specifically for her voice. And I think what happened is that through arranging, it was the gateway drug into composing, if you will. After that, I started writing music. I've always had a very deep love of poetry. And I kind of look at, I looked at my own role as a composer as a means of elucidating and illuminating poetry that I love. And so I started writing for Danielle's voice. And from there was a hop, skip, and a jump to writing for Kerry's voice. And then from there, I started writing choral works, and it just kind of mushroomed into what I do now, which is essentially write music primarily for solo vocalists and for choral groups.
So National Philharmonic is performing your work, Amore el cor gentil sono una cosa.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, can you tell us what that means and more about the piece?
Absolutely. It translates to love and the gentle heart are one and the same. When 2 of my dearest friends, Jennifer and Ed, decided to get married, I decided that my wedding gift to them would be a wedding song. And I looked through a variety of different texts, and I actually gave them a choice of text out of the ones that I had shortlisted. And several of those texts were love sonnets from La Vita Nuova by Dante. Why? Because the wedding was going to be in Florence. And what better text to set than one written by, the Florentine poet par excellence, Dante. And so the one that won out was that particular sonnet. And I decided I would write a duet. Naturally, I wrote it for soprano and bass baritone. Why? Because it also happens that Danielle and Kerry are good friends of the very same couple, and I knew they would be attending the wedding. So I arranged it so that the 2 of them could perform it at the wedding, and I wrote it for their voices. I wrote it originally for a chamber group, just a string quintet. And later on, I actually wrote an orchestral expansion for a small orchestra. And of course, that's the version that's going to be making its premiere with NatPhil.
Thanks for joining me today, Henry. I am looking forward to hearing your piece.
I can't wait to hear it. I know Peter, Danielle, and Kerry are going to do a fabulous presentation. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks again.
Thank you.